What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of Review for Rurouni Kenshin. This is episode 22, and with me, as always, I have Blue Spade.
Yeah. It looks like we are entering the final arc of this season because I don't
Yeah,
see them entering. I don't see them facing off against like Shishio anytime soon. I mean, they could hint at that, but
I think at the
they
most he's just going to appear at the end of the season just to tease him as a villain potentially.
yeah.
That's probably what's going to happen. Um,
Yeah. I guess, well, the one major character, they did finally reintroduce for for this episode is, of course, Saito Hajime, who's, of course, the former captain of the Shinsengumi. Um,
yeah.
like, we see, like well, I mean, we see, like, brief flashbacks of Kenshin, during his time as the Batosai, and we see him, like, fighting Saito, at least several times. Uh, I mean, for people who watch the live action films, like Saito, of course, works, uh, works as like a government official, or actually like a government like agent or police officer working for the Meiji government. Um,
Oh, yeah, that's right. Okay, so that's him. Yeah, I just made that connection because of his like fighting style. I remember that's kind of the same way he fights in the live action. Um,
yeah, his like yeah, it shows
So it's kind of
and even at
interesting, like, because I'm going from like the live action, and I knew about his character, but I didn't know that. Like, I mean, in the anime, it seems like him and Kenshin, like, I mean, they had an antagonistic sort of relationship in the movies too, but they were kind of working together. Whereas here, it's like he's pretty much out to kill Kenshin. It seems, um,
yeah. I mean,
and get revenge.
yeah, he feel he has, he still has a vendetta, against Kenshin, for what he did to, his comrades. I mean, like, the Shinshin, were working against the, the Meiji government at the time, while Kenshin, was, of course, fighting against them, and he's killed
Yeah,
several members,
yeah. I
in
mean, it makes
foot.
sense why he wants to kill. Why he wants revenge on Kenshin.
Yeah, and Kenshin, of course, finally brings this up to both to Kaoru, telling him that, well, after having a dream, earlier in the day, he tells him about like his time fighting against the Shinsengumi. So while they're on their way back to the dojo, like one man enters Kaoru's dojo and meets up with Shinosuke, telling him that he's like he's a wandering doctor, but Sanosuke, of course, notices that uh, this guy's not what what he seems, and of course, he sees like uh, the marks in his hand, noticing that he's like he's a prominent sword wielder of sorts, and of course and of course the man reveals himself as Saito Hajime, and obviously, he takes down Sanosuke pretty easily by using his signature um, fighting style. Basically, he lunges at his opponent to the point where he immediately just takes them down. Uh, I guess in a way, like he stabs Sanosuke in the chest and then just thrusts him into the wall of the dojo.
Yeah, breaking the wall of the dojo and just leaving Sanosuke in pretty bad shape. Um,
Yeah,
they find him later, and then I guess Megumi tries to take care of him.
yeah. Well, it takes her like 3 days to take care of that wound, of
Yeah,
course. And of course, Kenshin realizes, he finds out that he knows who the attacker is, and obviously, like it's obvious to Kenshin that he knows um, who Saito Hajime is, and we find out that Saito's also working with a corrupt government official who was recently behind the attack with Gine. What was it, earlier on in the season? So of course he's working in with him to get closer to Kenshin. But of course so far as of right now he hasn't been able to get in contact with him yet.
yeah. Um, and then there's this other guy um, that joins up with him to try to take down Kenshin, and he we see him like later on try to fight Kenshin, and he doesn't really hold up much against Kenshin. He gets pretty easily defeated, but he also kind of tricks Kenshin into letting his guard down, and so he can just
Yeah.
like restrain him.
Mhm. Yeah, he takes him down by ensnaring him with his chains, and he just tosses Kenshin around, left and right. And, of course, the episode ends in which we see, Hajime finding Yahiko walking alone, um, down an alleyway. So that's pretty much where the episode ends off from there.
I'm guessing this is probably going to play out similarly to that the Gene arc, and that they're going to try to either like fatally wound Kenshin's friends or just kidnap them to try to try to get to him.
I mean, for people who've watched the original series, or watched the live action movies, for example, is like Saito's not really like he does have like a thing against Kenshin, but not like in a bloodthirsty way like the others were.
Yeah, but the people he's working with might have other motivations, I guess.
Yeah,
I mean, they might not be above that.
I mean, there's a lot more to this that if for people who are watching this for the first time, there's still more to what's going on with Saito than that meets the eye.
Yeah. Oh well, yeah. I think I know what you're referring to, but um, yeah. I mean, so far, like this has been a pretty interesting start to, I guess, the final story arc for this season. I mean, it's a good way to kind of end things, I guess, to sort of reintroduce this character and have him try to go up against Kenshin. Um, a little bit disappointing that we're not going to get to see one of the major villains from Kenshin yet, but I guess that to me says that they're definitely planning for there being to be another season if they haven't introduced that character yet. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, I guess we'll just have to see what they plan to do with him. Uh,
Hmm.
but yeah, pretty decent episode. Like it seems like I said, it's setting up for potentially pretty interesting story arc. I'm kind of hoping it is somewhat similar to what happened with the Gene A arc, because I feel like so far that's kind of been like the highlight of the series. That, and also the Conryu arc was pretty good too. Um,
Yeah.
so
I mean, obviously, for people who've watched who watched the first live action movie, is that Saito was inserted into that storyline.
yeah.
He wasn't originally in the whole Gene A arc in the first place. Uh, like this, yeah. In the anime, of course, was his actual introduction. So, and also the fact that some of his scenes in some of the other films were altered or removed at times for timing purposes.
Well, I'm also surprised, just coming from mostly the live action movies, at how much content that seems like they skipped after the first movie, just in going into the second one, because they with the second movie they pretty much immediately introduce Shishio as the main villain, and
Yeah,
I mean there's all this other stuff. It seems like that happened in between that. Um,
yeah. I
so
mean, of course, there's still like five live action movies, and it
yeah.
somewhat follows some parts of the main story
It
faithfully
seems like
to a
the live
certain extent.
action sort of just follows like the more major story arcs, I guess, and leaves out some of, I guess, the smaller details. Which I mean, I'm
Yeah,
kind of fine with that after having seen this version of the anime at least, and having seen the movies. I feel like yeah, you might be missing some small like character details and stuff, but you're still getting, I guess, the gist of the overall story of the plot. Um, but yeah, I mean, like it's a pretty decent episode though. I don't really have too much else to say about it. I don't know if you have anything else to say.
yeah. I mean, it's a good way for them to reintroduce the Saito into the show. Saying like that they still have yet to hint at Shishio's appearance, but obviously they're saving that for the finale of the season, and hopefully we'll get it we'll get some kind of announcement for season two down the road later.
Yeah. But yeah, guys. So that all being said, until next time, we will see you all later.